Hi, welcome to Broadway Update. I'm Peter Morris, playwright and lyricist. This is my Drama Desk Award for Outstanding Musical Review for Howard Crabtree's Whoop-De-Doo. See, they used to be made out of wood, like George Washington's teeth. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to take it back into the bathroom where it hangs over the toilet. With the pandemic keeping theaters shuttered, it seems futile to discuss the future of Broadway when the future remains in doubt. So today, instead of looking forward, we're going to look back at some theater history. Now, throughout the decades, every season has had its fair share of hits and flops. Some of those flops are almost as legendary as the greatest hits. Think of Breakfast at Tiffany's or Rockabye Hamlet. Now, there are some shows that are so wrong-headed, so embarrassing, that theater writers seem intent on hiding their very existence from the world, like Southern scholars who ignore the evils of slavery in their textbooks. Now, no Broadway show could really be called evil, except maybe Cats. But there have been some truly horrifying productions dating as far back as the Great Depression. Let's look at one. Fred and Adele Astaire were big Broadway stars during the Roaring Twenties, scoring big successes in shows like The Gershwins' Funny Face and the classic Dietz and Schwartz revue, The Bandwagon. By the end of the decade, they were clearly the most famous brother and sister act in show business history. But then, Adele fell in love with a British nobleman. Fred appeared to be happy on the surface, but deep down he was concerned, though he tried not to show it. He confided in friends that he was worried. What would he do without her? Could he go it alone? Enter Astaire's friend and Broadway producer Vinton Friedley. He would mount a starring vehicle for Fred. He would spare no expense to surround him with the best talent that Broadway had to offer. Hassard Short to direct, Albertina Rash to do the dances, Norman Bell Geddes to design the production, and Calmer and Ruby to do the songs. How could the show be anything less than a smash? Vinton Friedley had a friend, a drinking buddy, who happened to be a playwright. When Friedley mentioned that he wanted to star Fred Astaire in a new musical, the playwright, who happened to be a fan, expressed interest in the project. And seeing that he was a successful playwright, Friedley began to think that maybe it was a good idea. Honestly, a lot of things seem like a good idea after 8 martinis on an empty stomach, which is how Eugene O'Neill came to write his one and only musical. When this ordeal is over, and your clever theater friends start talking about their great ideas for a pandemic musical, just point to this flop about the 1918 Spanish flu epidemic. At one point, Astaire had a 12-minute tortured inner monologue like something out of Strange Interlude, followed by an energetic tap routine through a children's ICU unit. His love interest spent the entire show in an iron lung. In his review, George G. Nathan wrote, "Do not resuscitate." The show closed on opening night, sending Fred Astaire running off to Hollywood, never to return to Broadway again. Need I say more? Mildred Klinghoffer was a retired public school teacher who loved going to the theater. Her favorite type of show was the one where a kooky young girl gets involved with a married middle-aged man while discovering life in the big city. So when it came time to write her own play, she wrote one about a kooky young girl who gets involved with a married middle-aged man while discovering life in the big city. One day, while waiting online in a supermarket, she met a young man who was a director. He told her that he knew 2 Hollywood stars that would be perfect for her play. He also told her that he would produce and direct her play on Broadway if she gave him $50,000. Now, I got a hold of a copy of Kiss Me, Kiss Me, and it's not really that bad. When I spoke to Mildred's son, he told me that she was very bitter about the whole experience and blamed the entire failure of the play on Madeline Sherwood. Would it make you feel any better if I told you she was supposed to do it with Ernest Borgnine? I didn't think so. In 1970, Donald Trump co-produced a play on Broadway. It's true. It was called Paris is Out, and it ran for 3 months. You can find the information on Internet Broadway database. What you can't find there is any information about the second play that he produced, Pants on Fire, the story of a habitual liar who decides to run for mayor. Information on this play is extremely hard to come by, kind of like Trump's tax returns and college transcripts. Stop! Just stop! I saw this production. I saw what they were going for. They just never got there. And the accordion didn't help. Well, that about wraps things up for this episode of Broadway Update. I hope it makes your isolation a little bit more enjoyable. I know it does mine. And just remember that as we struggle through this pandemic, in the words of Comden and Green, you mustn't be discouraged. There's always one step further down you can go.